Hi, this is Tara. Today let's study Sutra number 28. Now I'm apologizing for the little gap in between. I was just preoccupied with other things. So, Sutra number 28. Tat-japaḥ, tat-artha-bhāvanam. Japa, as we know, is repetition. Artha we generally understand as wealth, but it actually means meaning. And bhavanam means conception, to have an understanding of, to conceptualize. Okay, so how does Maharishi Ved Vyasa translate it? It's repetition and understanding of its meaning, simple translation. So he says that the relation of the word to its meaning is eternal and coexisting. So the yogi who has known the meaning, if you have understood the meaning of what? Of pranava, of om, then you must repeat it constantly and habituate the mind in order to be able to manifest its meaning. Now the constant repetition of the pranava om and the habitual manifestation is what signifies that the mind is becoming one-pointed. So he says basically that let yoga be practiced through study and study be attained through yoga, and by yoga and study together the path is attained, the path meaning the highest self. So what is this sutra basically explaining? It's explaining the pranidhana, Ishvara pranidhana. So it is explaining the nature of Ishvara and saying what is this devotion, what is this surrender, what is the nature of that surrender that we have to practice in order to be able to attain it. And that is by repetition and understanding its meaning, by bhavana. Okay, bhavana is not just understanding in the sense of simple cognition. It is experiencing the meaning actually. Yeah. So Swami Satyananda says that, translates it as that Om should be recited repeatedly while dwelling mentally on its meaning. Now again he explains Ishvara, and Ishvara pranidhana has been explained. Ishvara, as we have studied, is the highest, it is a particular manifestation of consciousness in man, just the seed of all knowledge, the ultimate point of divinity. For us in the human form is samadhi. When we enjoy life's different experiences, we are experiencing a purusha that is known as Vaishvanara Purusha. In the dream state, it is Tejomaya Purusha. In the sleep state, it is Prajna Purusha. And so there are different kinds of Purushas. Ishvara is called a distinct Purusha. Why is he a distinct Purusha? Because he is the highest of all these Purushas. And being the highest of these Purushas, he is known as Parabrahman. Purusha does not actually mean spirit. It's a distinct sort of, it is a particular manifestation of consciousness. So the highest form of it being Ishvara, they form a symbol of Ishvara is Om, and Om being three-syllabic, stands for the gross state, U for the subconscious state, Ma for the unconscious state. As we have seen in previous sutras, the three genders, the three gunas, the past, present, future. There are so many aspects of Om. One can write a whole book on just the aspects of Om. And the highest state of evolution includes knowledge that is limitless. So when you attain that state of Ishvara, you're also attaining a state of knowledge that is limitless, that covers everything. But that knowledge, he reminds us, is not gained externally, does not gain by study, that kind of abhyasa. It is gained internally. So the practice of Om, the study of the repetition and the meaning, manifests Ishvara. And when that Ishvara manifests, what happens? We are manifesting basically this limitless knowledge. Swami Vivekananda says that it's repetition of Om and meditating on its meaning is the way. Swami Vivekananda is explaining why should there be repetition, right? And he says, don't forget the explanation of samskara that we have already studied. I've done a separate video on it. Please do look for it. I will try and link it in the video description box below. So he basically says that the sum of, as we go through life, we're collecting impressions, and the sum of all impressions sits in the mind, sinks to the unconscious, and as we experience external triggers, those are provoked and brought to the surface. So he explains that when we are functioning at a very molecular vibrational level, these vibrations will never cease. Our bodies will cease, our actions will cease. Even when chitta ceases, these vibrations do not cease. They carry these samskaras and they move on. So they move into the unconscious. And when there is a trigger, they will come back to the surface. So basically, if our vibrations are negative, then the negative will manifest. And if our vibrations are pranava, then the aspects of pranava will manifest. So what we are basically doing through this constant repetition is we are attuning our base level vibration to a cosmic rhythm, so that when everything ceases, what remains is pure vibration, which we have already set through samskara as extremely positive. Okay, so good impressions will come to the surface. BKS Iyengar says the mantra Om is to be repeated constantly with feeling, realizing its full significance. So how do we repeat it? We repeat it with reverence. Okay, and we contemplate the meaning, we experience the feeling, and this feeling that it evokes helps the seer reach the highest self. BKS Iyengar says that word, meaning and feeling are interwoven, they are eternal, and they change depending on the caliber and intellect of the seer. So this sutra is basically conveying the devotional aspect of Om, the practice of japa, the repetition, unites the perceiver, the instrument of perception and the perceived God. So all three become one through this act of repetition. Om is said to be the Shuddha Brahman, the universal sound, and it is to be known or perceived through the organs of perception, action, intelligence, mind and consciousness. Osho says repeat and meditate on the Om. Okay, so he says repeat and create all around you the sound of Om. And he says you will get lost. But notice one thing. He says the body will calm, but the mind will not calm. Okay, so your consciousness will not calm. The body will go into a state of relaxation with the repetition of Om. Okay, it sends your whole body and mind into a state of settling. He says sleep, but it's basically a complete settling. But the consciousness starts awakening. So it is a paradoxical movement. So the body moves to the unconscious, and your consciousness, your awareness peaks. Okay, so he says repeat and meditate. Barbara Stoller doesn't explain this separately, she just translates it as repetition of the symbol reveals the meaning. Thank you so much for listening. Please do remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will try to upload the next one, Sutra number 29, as soon as possible.